Today, little Mitch goes out for his morning time in the garden, and every single day he bounces out and bounces in. So I really wanted to communicate with him because in that moment, I just thought, what can I ask him? I guess I could ask the usual, how are you? How are you feeling? Aren't you amazing? Are you always this happy? So I thought, I'm going to go to my conversation cards because communicating with our animals is that moment when you feel that you want to have a connection that makes you aware that there's something more than what you can see with your physical eye. The minute your mind goes to a question about them as you observe them daily, instead of just relying on the usual questions that your own mind comes up with, what about in that moment you tune in to that energy and you say, right, I'm going to go straight to the conversation cards and see which cards come up, because as you're fueling your thoughts with these desires to connect with your animal on a different level, that intention is going to go into the connection that you're going to have with the cards. So I'm going to go now into the Deckable app that's on my phone, and I'm going to pull up the conversation cards while I'm still feeling just this joy that I got from Mitch. And I would say the conversation cards are the perfect cards for it because there's 62 prompts, 62 questions that you can use. You can also just use them as template. You don't have to do them word for word, but I'm curious, how would it work if I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling, just having just observed Mitch coming in so joyfully? Is there a question or a topic that he'd like to communicate with me, in that moment? So I'm just going to click start, the bar start, and I'm going to press the plus sign just to bring up the cards at the bottom. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the shuffle feature. So if I click shuffle, it's as if I have a physical deck and I'm shuffling the deck. And I'm just going to let it shuffle itself and stop. So now imagine that my pile of cards have been shuffled. I'm going to then click play. And what it basically means is that the cards at the bottom now have been shuffled. So before I shuffled it, it was in a certain order. So let me just really tune into Mitch right now, focusing on that video I took of him, just his joy. And I can either click quick draw and the app chooses the card for me, or I can just flick back and forth and then just pick a card. So I put my finger on the card and then I drag it into the main screen. So I'm really curious now what card that is. So what I'm going to do is tap on the card, and what I want to do is there. What it says here is, although the topic is concern. So first of all, I might think, oh, I didn't think there was any concern, because when I was watching him, it was just so joyous. So this is why it's fascinating, really, to see what the cards bring forth, because we use our physical eye to observe something and then decide. So to me, it's like, oh yeah, he would want to talk about something joyous. But Mitch has very recently gone through surgery, and there was a lot of risk that I had to consider before going ahead with it. Maybe I hadn't spent enough time talking to him about those concerns, because he seems to adapt so easily that it's, I just move on, because he appears as if he's moved on. So let's look at this question. What one important piece of advice can you give me to ensure your quality of life is upheld? So this is a question that I'm asking Mitch. Now, this is really interesting, because for me, my mind now immediately goes to what he showed me this morning is exactly what he needs to ensure his quality of life is upheld, to have his routine, to create this safe space for him. His eyesight's deteriorating and his hearing is deteriorating as well. So I tend to feel a little guilty that I'm not taking him out as much, but we have a very large garden. So that is now his main walk. And he goes in and out several times. And I mean several times, an hour, not just a day. So the one piece of advice he can give me to ensure his quality of life is upheld is to make sure that he has his safety, his routine, things that really ground him. Because it's hard to almost remember that he has concerns, that things are actually quite wobbly for him, especially when I do take him outside. I suddenly notice much more how he is hesitant, how he may just stand still and not want to walk, and how he really needs to search for my, to be able to see my legs and my feet. So when he's outdoors, it's so much harder. So I feel that this is a topic of conversation I can have with Mitch for the rest of the day. Doesn't have to be a heavy one session conversation. I can now and again ask him the question, how can I ensure your quality of life is upheld? Instead of asking him, are you okay? Because I do that a lot. You okay? You okay? So now I'm going to say, am I upholding your quality of life on a daily basis? So I hope that helps. And let's go back to little Mitch for a minute because he's super cute. I hope you agree. Let's go back to him and watch his joy. So thank you for sharing in this moment with me as I seize the opportunity to connect in with Mitch with a surprising